Hello, hi, it is me, it is hi. Small town Didi, your hidden DJ, very internet and akastracha and bakalau yala. Umawana, Real Housewives of Durban, reunion part 1 and 2. Again, the week got away, bitch. Here are all my notes, Kesan. They all fit on the page. You can't even see. But I wasn't. There was too much, especially in the second part. I was a bit like, bored with the first part, but the second part really, actually rewatching the first part as well, I realized it was not a bad reunion. I think I was just like, I don't know. But please do share, comment, like, and subscribe. Let your people know about me. We're down here talking trending topics and stuff. Sometimes I just vent on you guys. Like I have a Dear Diaries thing where I just tell you guys about whatever is on my mind. But we do like hot topics and we cover some reality shows that we like. We do reviews on those. But yeah, let's get into it. I'm not going to go blow by blow. I sort of try to, because a lot happened, right? So if I try to go bullet by bullet, I'm going to be here too long. And if you rock with me with my reviews, it tends to get a bit long-winded. So what I've done is I try to do it according to the packages and the beefs that happened. Like I'll discuss Angel and this one, and Angel having an issue with this one, and then we'll let it go. First, the ladies looked gorgeous. I loved Maria's makeup. I liked the clean look she went for. The bare cut, because she's been over accessorizing this season. I'm glad that she went a bit more stripped with the accessories, which would make sense. That dress, the detail on that bodice and the one strap thing, she really let it have its moment. Or her stylist, I don't know if Neil dressed her for this, but I really loved Maria's look. I don't know how I felt about Zama's Storm kind of look, and I like Storm, right? As much as the next girl, X-Men Storm, right? It's almost like they don't belong together. It's like they try too hard to carry the silver theme. It's almost like that hair could work. Zama is one of those beauties that also needs to be left alone. When you try to do too much with her, it weighs heavy because you don't need to do much with her. Like, let her be, for the ugly character she's displayed, she's a very beautiful woman. So it's too much hair. I'm not used to seeing. She has a confessional where her hair is pulled gorgeous. Leave her. I'm glad Slee wore her hair the way she did. I expect Nonku to come through looking that way. I don't really know if I have an opinion. I liked her stills on Instagram. It's one of those dresses that you do appreciate a lot better in stills. It's a bit uncomfortable to sit in, but you know what they were going for, Jojo fell flat a little bit. I think I don't like that shade of red on her. I think I want a more fiery red or just blonde. That like, I don't know if they're calling it I don't know what, but like that in between with like heavy brown undertones kind of, it doesn't work because jewel tones look so good on Jojo, like emerald in particular, that the red must be committed to being red, and not in a, like a good ginger, I don't know, but something with a bit more depth that's lending itself to the reds versus the browns. So she fell flat for me a little bit. Angel looks okay. She's not like on one of my best dressed. Amy looked gorgeous. She also looked a lot cleaner because she's wearing you're seeing all of that shoulder and cleavage. She looks clean. I like Slee's makeup look. I'm not sure how I feel about the dress. Like, I don't have an appreciation for her sitting down. Sosa's been slaying this entire season. And it actually comes up. They talk about it, and she's like, she let her stylist was like, you know what, I'm gonna need to take over now and do some shit. And she let the stylist do their thing. And it's paid off for her. She was giving us looks even in confessionals this season. I like it. But let's unpack and get into it. Let's start with Angel and her businesses. They get into Angel's package talking about, okay, you and Zama, this tension, what's going on? Why does Zama seem to know so much about you and your family? All of that. And she's like, I assume it's because she's her sister or her cousin, as somebody who's from the same little small town that I'm from. And she was feeding her information about us. And one of the things she's feeding her was that I don't own my businesses. I don't care about this. We could move along. I really don't care about this. This constant Zama said something terrible about my family and I don't want to come repeat it on here. But then you say it or you allude to it. Now, I can only work with what you've given me, which is that all Zama did was claim that those aren't your businesses. Those are your dad's businesses. I can't speak to the vile thing she said about your family because I haven't heard it. You don't want to say it. What do? We move on. Okay. She says that she lists the things she owns, and the only thing it sounds like she owns is the company that makes clothes. And I believe she's made an outfit for Nonko way before she was on the show, right? Everything else seems to be family stuff, which there's no shame in legacy and building stuff and passing things down to your children and stuff. And if your children rise to the occasion and they meet the responsibility where they're supposed to, and they can sort of like, I don't know, you feel comfortable handing over the baton and having them run with it. A lot of you can't do that. If she's demonstrating the capabilities that she's going to manage, or her and her siblings will manage to keep these businesses going long after their parents have gone, that's still something to be proud of. This wanting to shame people and at the time talk about wanting to build generational wealth for our own kids, like, oh, I want to leave my kids something, but you shame the people whose parents did that, who already did that. This conversation is so weird. Like, you blacks are weird. I am so sorry, but we are fucking weird with this shit. Okay? Amy and Zama's package. They get into that and they're like, but Zama, at your alleged 40th, why did you immediately come for the jugular, which is what how Mable phrases this thing. And obviously Zama has media training, so she skirts around things, and she's terrible for reality television. Okay, the skirting around questions, the news anchor answers, the trying to be overly poised, the rehearsedness, it's fake. It's fake and it's a hard watch, and nobody wants to fucking see that. I would rather take like JoJo being all jittery and like, just leave Calvin out of it. I'd rather deal with that fucking shit than all of this, that's all that there was that's all I found on the internet when bitch, fuck. But anyway, she gives an answer that that's all that there was on the internet about her. That's why she came for her. But that doesn't explain that once you put it out there, because that's all you could find and you needed to put something on the card about Amy for your little stupid game, that doesn't explain why you were a dog with a bone then. Like, why, when you realized this is a sore point, you pushed and you pushed and you pushed, and you just weren't willing to be wrong. Right? You weren't willing to say, yo, my bad. Like, sort of words, like, you just couldn't be that person. And then this thing kept growing. It kept getting bigger, all because you couldn't on side be like, you know what, my bad. I may have misstepped there. Let me give myself an opportunity to know you and not listen to what the internet is telling me about you. Okay. Sosa and Zama's package, they get into the A pay line thing. Here's the thing. I see a lot of people online talking about how Slee is mad, but Sarisha is not. I don't give a shit. Let me tell you something. If somebody says something to my friend and my friend decides that they now over this shit, if I'm not over it, bitch, I'm not. It's like, don't tell me shit about your little stupid boyfriend if you know you're going to get back cool with him and now you're back in love with him and you think it's kumbaya. I don't like that fucking fool. He hurt my friend. Like, I am this person. I'll carry the bone until you want to come back and carry it your damn self. And sometimes I can also take offense on somebody's behalf because they want to push it away. Sarisha and this pageantry fucking bullshit that Annie called her out on last reunion, no, the one before that, because she came back with a little bit more fire last season when Annie said to her at the reunion prior that you need to have more vibes for yourself. Because Annie was also irritated about the fact that things are done to you, things are said to you, and for the sake of trying to get along and make nice, you push it all away and you downplay it. Or even if you're a bit confused as to should I be offended? Was that a compliment? You always make the decision to, and that's when everybody got along with you. Everybody on the cast was team so-so until so-so had, hard lines and boundaries. And this is okay. When she stopped being the pageant girl, that's so agreeable, right? And she's doing it here. The truth of the matter is the comment that Zama said about the ape line thing, she was taken aback by it. That much she says. And she's like, she had to ask people like, what do you know about this? What she didn't know what it was, but she was like, we're black people. That's an Indian woman. Do you understand what I'm saying? So don't say so. I don't care if you think apes are cute and you understand like the history. There's context there where you don't draw that comparison. You especially don't draw that comparison to a woman who was so deeply impacted by colorism that she went and bleached her skin, right? You especially don't do that. I would take offense as a black person if another black person say to a person of a different ethnicity or whatever that, oh, of all the things you could have fucking said, you couldn't just say, you just have such gorgeous hair, Rapunzel. Of all the things you could say, and I'm not saying, I actually don't even believe, as vile as she is, I don't think she's being that. I think she thought she heard it somewhere. She thought it's okay, but it's unsettling. I'm one of the people who I found it unsettling. I really did. But I don't believe she's being backhanded by it either. I just think don't say it. You can say it to a white woman, right? There's no context there for them to want to unpack it or receive it any which kind of way. You know? One of my teachers used to say, hello, my monkeys. And it's like you could tell that she really means nothing by it. At the same time, can nobody trust you fucking white bitches? At the exact same time. She liked she had curtains in the classroom that had monkeys and like bananas and like that's her thing, But like you can't be trusted. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't. Anyway, and everybody's like, oh, why are you still mad if so-so is? I don't give a shit. I do not give a shit if so-so is not over it. Bitch, I'm not. Okay? Great. But that's what they talk. Oh, then they get into all of this. You guys. The thing about my Blaze is that he knows what things mean. So I don't know why he allowed Zama to play in his face. My Blaze, why'd you let that fucking woman play? I did it because you gotta respect your elders. But why'd you let that fucking lady play in your face? They talk about the bleaching because Slee takes it there. She's like, you started on the ape hairline thing, then you're talking about bleaching, bleaching her skin and stuff. It's piling on. So it takes me back to thinking maybe that ape hairline thing is in actual fact not a compliment, right? Because it's now, there's more coming out here. To which Zama then says, oh, but she was being ageist. And then my blade decides to co-sign this. My brother who knows what things mean. Ageism is discrimination. That's when somebody or this group of ladies, for instance, would say to Zama, oh, why are you wearing that for a woman your age? Or why do you have that opinion for? Or you can't sit with us because you're older. We didn't invite you to this thing. We just thought you wouldn't get it because you're older. When you're being discriminated against, excluded from participating, othered and or shamed because of your age. That hasn't happened with Zama. All that's happened is Sarisha has pointed out the inconsistencies about what year you say you were born. All that has happened is shade at best. Ageism, no. Do you know where ageism has occurred repeatedly, right? But it's not as frowned upon because there's currency in youth, right? It's bordering on like reverse colorism when the light skins are like, I was bullied for being light skinned, but not quite, right? But it doesn't hold Angel. They did it to Angel, right? They're infantilizing her in an effort to dismiss of her opinions and her contributions, right? Knowing that it's a trigger, right? We're going to exclude your opinion. We're going to throw it away and say this child. That's you discriminating. That's ageism. Simply pointing out, but when were you actually born? Wait, why are you lying about? That's just me calling you a fucking liar because you're lying. I'm not discriminating against you. I'm not saying you can't sit with me because you're older, Zama. I'm saying, why are you lying about being older? No, that's not ageism. I am so sorry. Words mean things. Some of us were paying attention in class. That's the problem. I don't know kya bas kwa kira kidbisa. Aldo balikrat sepaga manzi ama good molikina rar dusul rar gain. It's not ageism, babe. Sorry. And it's not semantics. It's simply not ageism. Great. We move. Slee and Nonko, they talk about the drinking thing. This might end up being a 2-part video. They talk about the drinking thing, and Slee's like, I feel like, because Nonko had said she's not drinking when the season started, and Slee was like, wow, I felt like she's lying because I've seen how she behaves when she drinks, and she was exhibiting similar like behaviors and mannerisms and stuff when she had said she's not drinking that I've seen her do when she's drunk, but I have no concrete evidence. I didn't care about this. I didn't care about it because I don't take Nonko's sobriety seriously. Because Nonko doesn't take his sobriety seriously. You see, if Nonko was like an actual alcoholic in recovery and somebody was like questioning her recovery, okay, there's an argument to make that don't do that, you know? But she's not saying she's an alcoholic. She's just saying she feels she's drinking excessively and she wanted to take a break. So it doesn't matter if she's on her break and she's like, man, I'm gonna knock one back. Like, okay, that's what the fuck she wants to do to her body. Like, whatever. Slee and the witchcraft and the white sage. Remember when the girls went away to the Drakensberg? They got there, everybody ran and picked rooms and stuff, and then she was assigned a room and she had assumed that's going to be her quarters and that Sarisha was going to join her later the next day, I think. So she burnt, we find out now that it's white sage, you know, but the black women on the show that, you know, thanks to like mental slavery and all of that nice stuff, they are the main ones go, oh. If they'd been told straight out the gate that she's burning sage, they would not be coughing. Or they would not make such a big deal out of it. But because of our internalized anti-blackness, anti-Africanness, anti-ourselves, we are the first ones to want to ridicule somebody who's I don't know, participating in practices that remind us of our blackness because they came here and told us that we are barbaric and wayward and backward, and how we choose to worship, if it's worship, or our practice. She's just cleansing the air. That's all she's doing. She's just cleansing the room, doing whatever it is she's doing, no different from you buying a bottle of water that has nothing added to it from your mega churches and sprinkling it about the room, saying you're chasing away evil spirits, or waking up at weird hours talking to yourself saying you're praying to a man deity. That's embarrassing. But anyway, she burned white sage and everybody was coughing, and then Angel started this remorse of what's witchcraft, what's not witchcraft, was she doing witchcraft, to which Nonko then said in a confessional, well, I think it was giving me witchcraft vibes anyway, that's what she was doing. But we know it's because they have that, they'll always take it a step further, Nonko and Slee. I don't even think Nonko really thinks Slee waloyana. Like, I don't, she doesn't, but she'll say it. She'll say it because it's triggering and she knows that they're fighting. Like, I don't believe she believes that. But she said it anyway. And then they talk about Slee meeting up with RD. This is Nonko's ex. And they read a comment from a viewer who's like, but what about sisterhood? What the fuck about it? You guys are gonna learn. You guys are gonna learn. I'm learning that because I'm one of those people who I don't want to be taken out of character. And sometimes I don't want to meet you in the gutter for the sake of making a point, but I'm fast learning that that's what bathing is for. I'm fast learning that that's what a hose is for. So that when you're done like playing in the mud with the pigs, you can wash it off and be yourself again. But what you don't fucking do is not get dirty with the pigs. Because they operate by different rules. If your rules of engagement stay on the, if they go high, we go here. If they go here, we end like this. If they go low, I am down in the very pit of that fucking Kimberly hole and we are fucking shit up. Do you understand? That's what I've come to understand. That as long, and they, Nonko and Jojo in particular, I think what's thrown them off since last season with Sarisha and Slee is that they knew that they're operating from this playbook. And they were under the impression that Sarisha is not going to leave her nwele throne and come down here and get all muddy with us pigs all up in the mud, right? She's too good for this. So we can sling mud and do, and she'll just go, oops, oh, you guys. Like, right? So it catches them off guard when you play by their rules. If you continue to allow people like this to play dirty games and then you, in the name of sisterhood, you rise above it. You ask yourself why. You're just gonna cry. Talking about why would they do that to me? Because they think they can get away with it. I would meet up with RD. You accused me of being a homewrecker. I am an attractive single woman in this group of new women, a new social circle, a well-to-do social circle, and they have husbands, wealthy husbands, and I am, for all intents and purposes, because we don't meet our partners, right? I'm a beautiful single woman, and you were out here constructing narratives of me being a possible home wrecker. But sisterhood, right? Your mental health. What about mine? This is my new social circle. What about my fucking mental health when I come around and people grab their husbands like, oh, here comes the fucking floozy? What about my fucking mental health? In the name of sisterhood, let's not forget that. I said to you guys in one of the other reviews that they've been sitting in that gutter, doing gutter shit. All she did was join them and turn the light on. Now they're looking around, seeing that they're in this fucking like mess over here, and they're acting like she made the mess by herself. Slee does not owe Nonko anything. Slee owes it to herself to do whatever is required or abode, right? She owes it to herself to give herself healing. If that healing requires her getting even, well, more power to you. I've joined this like way of thinking where I'm like, I'm not above anything. I'm not above anything within reason. There's some shit that I won't do. Okay? Nonko's all like, oh, you're believing an ex-con girl. These are matters that she tried to raise with you regarding this dude just a season ago. Okay? And she was the devil for trying to do that. Now you're using this very same talking points to try and discredit this man. Didn't he find God or something? Like, isn't he a new person, a new creature through somebody who gives him strength? Like, no, no. We can't judge him on his past. I think she said that last season, guys. We can't judge him on his past. He's a new creature through Christ, and we must hear what he has to say. And first of all, it's correctional services. We can assume this man has been corrected and rehabilitated. Okay. He's a new man. He deserves a new lease on life, and he deserves for us to hear him out. She owes him nothing. I want you guys to pay attention to how unmoved Slee is when Nonko's in distress. Because they have the same reaction when Sorisha is in distress. When you don't have affection for somebody, seeing them struggle, and a lot of us like to think we're above it. Like we say, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Sometimes I would. I get these period cramps sometimes, and I think of this one bitch I hate, and I'm like, yeah, I could send her these via fast mail, and I'd be okay with that shit. I would. Get even. Get even. There's some of you think you're good people, but no. The catharsis, that's the word I'm looking for. That vindication, that moment, that booyah, that boom, right? That checkmate. That thing is, your healing can begin after this. Because we're even Stevens now. We're on the same, we're starting on equal footing. I've hurt you, you've hurt me, we're both bleeding. Well, let's move. I'm just saying. Part two, actually, those are all the bullets that I made for the first point. Part two, we open with Neil doing a fake apology for Sorisha. Oh, I'm sorry for what I said. I must go. And then he storms off and acts like whatever. Neil and the ladies are acting like they threatened. There is this thing that they do where they act like, because we know Sorisha is the wealthy woman on the show, there's this thing they do where they act like they're so threatened by her position in the society that they exist in, right? Yet they do so much attacking. You can't have it both ways. You cannot come for this woman like this, and then when it seems like you're going to be wrong, all of a sudden you don't feel safe to say anything, and you feel no. If you knew you could talk your shit and you felt like you were in the right, you were going to sit there and you were going to say to her, we were called and threatened, and I'm going to stand in my truth. The entire time, the entire season, even this entire reunion, you guys have been gunning and going for this woman. And then we get to having to talk about this part. Now you all are apparently scared and threatened. You can't have it both ways. You cannot. And it's an easy sell, right? Her husband is so well off and so wealthy. Like, it's an easy sell to say, oh, but she's Sorisha and we don't. And then the next babe be like, well, you're a puppeteer. Like, bitch, which one is it? You scared or not? You're standing up to the rich, powerful woman. You're telling her she's a puppet master. At the same time, you're so scared to tell her that, hey, guys, they're playing in our faces, these ones. Me, I can't shame. Neil fake apologizes and then walks off. And then Mable is like to Sorisha, what do you think of that apology? Sorisha's like, what is he apologizing for? I can only assume, but how can I accept an apology like that? There's no context to it. And he's now gone off. What am I meant to do with it? And then they start, we got phone calls. We got that in itself. If you're that scared and that threat is that real, you wouldn't fix your mouth to say, I got a phone call. I don't feel safe. We were threatened. That, you even uttering those words, is telling of how not scared you are. And more how interested you are in furthering, in bulking your argument of saying this woman is a puppeteer because of the status that she holds in society by way of marriage. You guys are not going to sound me on this, please. They get into the Maria and Angel beef. I'm actually on Maria's side. Maria is actually like somebody who she's disappointed me a lot this season because I think she's so bright. I think she's quick and she's bright, and I like her shoes. And I'm on her side with Angel a lot, if not all the time, because lies irk me. Lies bug the shit out of me. A lot of stuff is created. A lot of bad shit comes from a little white lie that somebody told to get out of a sticky situation, right? Or to add spice, and it was innocent, and they were taken out of context, and it snowballs, and lies are dangerous. Lies are disgusting and dangerous to me, and I understand why Angel's lies get under Maria's skin, because they sow contention, right? By the time they are able to figure out that the genesis of whatever this new drama is a lie, so much has transpired. The damage has been done over Angel choosing to deliver something in a tone that she knows this thing is going to be misconstrued, right? And it's intentional when you do that. And then now Angel wants to harp on, Maria's choice of words, right? I'm not a pathological liar. You are definitely a habitual liar, right? You lie for convenience. You lie to get out of sticky situations. You lie to elicit a reaction that you want. You are a liar of sorts. You didn't tell one lie here. You're a liar of sorts, right? And by that I mean there must be a clinical diagnosis for it. And I'm not playing. Okay, it's happened too much. Your first season, how is one person telling so many inconsistencies? You've made a habit of doing this. You're at least a compulsive liar. You're something, right? Now you want us to play the semantic game of like, yeah, I may have exaggerated and I may have done this, but I'm not a pet. Okay. You want to hop on the word that we're going to use. Let's call you a good old fashioned regular liar. Regular. You're a regular liar. A liar none the fucking less. And the lies that you tell grow legs. They grow legs, they get out of hand, they create problems, and then you want to come and clean it up, and a simple sorry is supposed to fix it. But like all that's transpired, we can't walk that back now. We can't fix that. So if you were telling little lies about yourself, like you're a construction boss, babe, okay, that's just you lying about your credentials. That's cool. But you're telling things that are having real consequences for the other relationships in the group. That's messed up. Don't tell me I need my spray again. I did. Yes, don't be a 30 person. Don't do that. They get into Maria and Angel and they talk about the lip stuff. Like, why was it so triggering for you, Maria, when Angel said it versus when Jojo said it, because you've now mended things with Jojo? I posted this on my TikTok and Jojo left a comment and it was, anyway, I understand, but I don't think Maria's not being she needs to tell the entire truth, right? Enough time has passed with you and Jojo, but say the bits that you are saying. There's history there, and the history is one of affection. And I was ready to move on. I wanted my friendship back. I felt like throwing my friendship away over this thing was not worth it. And it's better to be friends with her than not to be friends with her, and I missed her, so I decided to put this past me. Angel, on the other hand, I don't care about. And she tells lies, and I hate that. So when she said what she said, fine, it was a trigger. We can give her that. But there isn't that history of affection for you to then like push it aside as you've done with Joe. Right? So you can act like it's bigger than it is, but really, I think, yes, the lip thing, but already you were heightened. She said what she said about your lips, but you were already heightened in Jen and J, and you have no affection for her. So you can take it there with her because you don't, there's no relationship for you to try and preserve, nothing. You know, it can go there. She doesn't keep you on the show also. Can't forget that. We can never forget that. Because everybody's like, Joe said worse. Nonko was saying things in her confessionals. Why are you letting this go so easily? But Angel says it, and you can't even hear so much as an apology from her. Like, you can't even let us say. Granted, once you've hurt somebody, they don't owe it to you to hear you out. I'll give Maria that. But like, I wish it was over a different matter. Because we've seen people whom you're in community with say these things to you, and you've been able to let it go. It's like, girl, it's giving weird double standards. It just really is. Maria and Amy, they get to the sitting on a dick comment. And I think, you know what? This reunion was such an, it gave me context on, first of all, Maria's behavior throughout the season, but also just Maria. Right? In the first part of the reunion, we learned that, you guys, did I miss this part me last season where she lets us know that she's actually been divorced since 2014, but they do a little back and forth? Did I miss something? Because me, I remember her saying she's married to a surgeon, me. And guys, I want to be wrong, and I didn't go back to watch. I'm hoping I just missed it. Why did we think she's married this whole time? Even at Zama's thing, when they're saying somebody's been pretending to be in a happy marriage, she says me. So pretending to be in a happy marriage. And now we're being told that no, she told the ladies when she got into the group that she's in actual fact divorced, but they've been trying to make it work for well over a decade. You've been, no, babe. And nobody's healing fit. It's just over. It's not. Can I pay but yo guys, Maria, you know guys, the trappings, nah? Yeah. They asked Maria in the first part, so in the divorce, you got the house. And she doesn't really answer it. And she's like, well, he's hardly here, and he said I can stay there. So much makes sense about Maria's desperation to stay on the show. Maria's trying to inch back her autonomy. Maria's trying to secure a good job for herself by way of staying on the show so she can, by the way, this is what I'm seeing with my eyes. This is my opinion on what I'm seeing, right? I feel like she's trying to stay on the show because that's how she gets out of whatever weird arrangement that may have seemed beneficial when she agreed to it at the time. But in hindsight, or in reality, her autonomy, she doesn't have it, or she's restricted in movement. Remember, we're down here, you and I, wrecking our brains, trying to figure out what the polygraph test was for. Trying to figure out, why did Maria feel the need to drag that friend of hers down to whatever dingy office, wherever they are, to get a lie detector test over something that we know was nothing. And I'm now starting to think it was for Manoli. I feel that there are conditions to staying in the house. She says that, she's a well-kept ex-wife. There's nothing about Maria that reeks of well-kept to me. But if she's going to run with that, the animals in the zoo are also said to be well kept. Now, would the animals rather be running about in the wild and vast open fields without a fence to restrict them? Sure, they would. Would they rather like hunt and eat when they feel like it and not have somebody decide that they eat at 12 and have people like staring and gawking and their movements determined by another person, what they can and can't do? Sure they will. But they too are said to be well kept. That's what Maria gives me. There's nothing about Maria's appearance on the show that like screams well kept ex-wife. I mean, the fashions, we can start there. The costume jewelry, I don't see her in a lot of good, like, look at the studs that Sarisha likes to wear, the Chanel studs, and she wears a lot of those, Sarisha, the understated. No. Maria is always in some bulky, clunky costume jewelry that Neil put her in, that looks like I can get my hands on. And even the clothes, the purple dress she's wearing with the fringe when she gets into it with Angel, when they're out there having that dinner, when they first try to have their first physical altercation. That's that dress that all the hoes have been wearing all season. And I'm not saying if you are somebody who has access to things that you can't do high-low, that you can't wear a high-end piece with a low-end piece and still make it work. But her entire look, her entire aesthetic is giving accessible, for lack of a better term. She's giving very much accessible, which lets me know it's not that well kept over there. You get some cute pocket money at best, and you get to still stay in that house, and you don't have to like be homeless running about the place. But it seems, in my opinion, it's looking like there are rules in place. And one of them is you can't be with other men, right? Because what's an actual fact, what looks like is happening, and this is just my opinion, is that Maria is an ex-wife side chick or whatever, or an ex-wife because yes, they're divorced, but he's still running the show. Like when he's in town and he decides you're his woman, then that's what it is, right? But you can't be with these other men. As long as you still want me to provide this like half plushy life for you, it's on a very short string. That's the only reason she put us through this fucking rubbish of running down to whatever dingy office that was with Neil and getting things hooked up to her. And the question, I've been vindicated as a dick rider. Who the fuck asked for that vindication? Like, this was never that. Amy never even said you're sleeping with him. She said that behavior was inappropriate for a married woman, and we can get into that. I really don't care about it. I don't care about appropriateness like that. It's not my vibe. I don't care. That's a friend. They were having a good time. The other ladies are supposed a bit more conservative than me, and they read and they felt it was inappropriate or whatever it was. But if that's the nature of their relationship, and perhaps they've seen them in other settings behaving that way, maybe they wouldn't have thought nothing of it. So in this instance, there is a bit of projecting on the other lady's part. Just because you wouldn't do that with your mate, that doesn't mean they don't get to do that in their dynamic, Maria and Neil, that is. Like, it can be inappropriate all you want for you and in your culture, Amy, but like, fuck's that got to do with the next bitch? That said, Babe is in a cage, a gilded cage, but a cage nonetheless. She's giving very much on a short leash, and the incentives aren't what she reminds me a bit of Ashley Darby over there in Real Housewives of Potomac, right? They think they have it figured out. They think they're winning the lottery. Then halfway they realize that they're dealing with like hyenas. Like the men that they're partnering with aren't actually these ditzy, horny, stupid old white men. They are actually very calculating, controlling pieces of shit. And they're now finding themselves in situations where they don't have freedom of movement. There's none of that is happening. And as long as they want to still have this kind of life. I mean, listen, her cage is a beautiful view, but again, a cage nonetheless. This is just my take, bitch. You don't listen to me. Bitch. Maria needs to stay on the show. She needs to stay on the show so she can get herself a cute little townhouse and sit on all the dicks she want to sit on. More power to you, girl. Maria and Slee. Slee talks about Maria not liking So. Why does Maria keep saying she doesn't not like So? You don't like So. You don't like Sarisha. You came in not liking her. You can't say it because you can't say why you don't like So. Because you don't like So because you've inherited beef, right? You've Bluetoothed on, whatever tension there was with Jojo and So. We learn now where the tension comes from. But Jojo brought you in the group and she knew she had tension with Sarisha. So you were Bluetoothing that fucking beef. Now you're besties with Neil. You're Bluetoothing off of that fucking beef. It's the who makes the baby, the curry shit. The curry shit takes me every time. Who makes the best curry, girl? You don't like her. And no, even my Blaze said it. He's like, you know what? You don't like her. And sometimes you don't need a reason to not like somebody. Your energies aren't matching. That's a valid thing. Just to say, you know what? I don't vibe with her. It's something about my energies when I come around her. We don't gel. I don't think she's a bad chick or nothing, but it's like, we don't gel. That's valid for me. Because I have bitches like that where I get around them and I'm just like, no, I didn't know Sunny Maze. I give one. That's okay. Truly, it's okay. I don't think I'm fascinated to get along with everybody. That's the other thing. Oh, Sarisha and Jojo, they discussed this fallout, and I'm conflicted because what I'm hearing is Sarisha saying Jojo is a Karen and she wanted to be as far away from this Karen as possible. That said, if you bring your friend into the show, because Sarisha says the fallout happened because she spoke to staff in a way that she did not approve. The filming crew, the camera guy or somebody wanted her to do something and she snapped at him in a way that was just much too much, and her and Annie were taken aback by it. If that's your mate, you pull them aside, or later after filming, or when you come back from the trip, because they were on a trip when this happened. You say, yo, friend, the way you spoke to the cameraman, like, I don't vibe with like that kind of thing. We don't speak to the people we're working with. Especially somebody who may be in a lower ranking position or whatever the issue is, because you're talent and blah, blah, blah. We don't speak to people like that. Sarisha did not even give Jojo the opportunity to correct that. Yeah, but Sarisha, because it's like, talk to your mate, and if they exhibit the same, if it becomes a pattern, you realize, okay, this bitch is really this person. I don't want to be around them. That's valid. But to throw them away without even addressing it one time, it's a bit much. That's how I felt until she said she did that. And then when the camera started rolling on cue, she started crying. Jojo weaponizes her whiteness and her tears. And I've said this to you guys. She does it a lot, and she did it with my Busi, right? Things get uncomfortable for Jojo. Jojo needs to cry and go. Dig into her white woman fragility bag and use that and go. So it sounds like she threw a tantrum at this person, realized that she looks bad. The camera started, she went into victim mode. So as to counter that sour taste she had probably left in everybody's mouth at that moment. And then she's talking about how she had just such a shitty day, and she does this power on thing, right? Where one thing happened, but it must be made to seem like a lot. I had a shitty day. I had no grace. My husband had just had a heart attack, and this had happened. All of that. The only thing that she said is that Calvin has had a heart attack, but she needs to make up more things happened than what happened. See, if she was not on the show throwing her whiteness around the way she does, I was gonna look at so funny. Like, you could have addressed that with your mate. But, Saoirse didn't feel the need to do that. I still think she should have, but here they are now, where she feels like essentially you're a Karen. And she wants no parts of your Karenhood. And then they get into talking about, oh guys, a lot happened here. They get to talking about like who's the puppet master, and then they talk about Sane. And basically what it comes down to is that you all lack tact, right? Everybody wants to control the narrative. There's a lot of mistrust in the group. So there's a lot of like plotting and scheming in the back, trying to, everybody's taking part in the scheming in the back, right? Yet everybody wants to point fingers at the other person. I don't think anybody in this cast gets to walk away saying they're just so innocent. I don't think so. No. How? Jen? You know? Sarisha starts crying. I've never seen her so distressed. But the comment about her being a side chick has clearly really gotten to her. I'm surprised that the girls on the other side of the fence who made this big deal out of the Maria and Neil thing and that affecting Maria's son aren't understanding what the comment Neil made about Sarisha being the side chick and a whore and this, that, and the other, what that could in turn do to her kids and how they view their parents' marriage and how they came about, you know, are they born out of another person's pain and all of that stuff, you know? I don't think they understand, or they do understand, but they don't care. It's exactly like I said to you guys. When the affection is no longer there, Sarisha was clearly in distress. The other girls didn't care. The same way when Nonk was in distress, he just looked at her like, okay, bitch. You know? You can't appeal to somebody's side that requires them to have some affection for you when they don't. Because that side is not activated for you. And she takes her shoes off and she walks off the stage because she's like, do you guys agree with what Neil said to me? Because you all cackled and it was a little giggle and they say no, but like when Amy said what she said about me riding dicks, you also chuckled. And this thing about Amy makes the point to Maria to say, I'm the one who said the things I said. And then you heckled for a name. You heckled. And then finally, Sarisha was like, oh, they're talking about Neil. And you decided to run full steam ahead and make like Sarisha said the thing about riding dicks as well as say Neil's name. All she did was give you the name because you kept bugging for it, right? But you didn't come to me and neither did Neil. You didn't come to me with the same energy. There is an incessant need in this group to try and humble this woman. There's a need to try and bring her like down to earth. This need that says, yes, you're wealthy, but we're gonna show you that we're not afraid of you and we're gonna do whatever it takes, whenever it involves you, to make it a little extra, to put a little stank on it and try to humble you. And we can't look away. And it's not to say Sarisha is innocent in all her dealings with everybody. Like I said, everybody's behind the scenes doing a lot of cooking, doing a lot of fucking mess. But I can't look away from the fact that you all like to say you're so afraid of her and she's got so much power and she's, at the same time, you don't think twice when it's time to attack her. You cannot have it both ways. It can't be. It can't. You want to be in her position. Maria says she doesn't want to be in Sarisha. She does. She does. She would rather be wearing those Chanel earrings and not that fucking shit Neil constantly has hanging off her fucking ears. Soso cries and she walks off, and you know, as she walks off, Angel's like, but do you guys agree with what Neil said, you know, about, and they don't want to walk it back, you know, they don't want to really take accountability or anything. Zama kept interjecting to like, and just being irrelevant, like kept it every time she wanted to butt in. It just, the comparison was falling flat. It was not, oh, Bora. Maria and Amy discussed their fight and they seem to be on the same page about the fact that, you know what, it shouldn't have gone that far. Marie at first is trying to deny that she called them bitches, and they finally catch her in it. I was disappointed in her for doing that, because for the most part, Maria holds her own. Maria owns the stuff that she's done. Maria explains where she was coming from. Maria deserved to sit first chair. She held her own off of the strength of how she performed at reunion. She should definitely get she should have got a contract before they left the studio. For the next season. You can stop riding JoJo's dick now. I think you've certified yourself a cast member all in your own right. I understand that obviously we're trying to get out that cage, girl, so we must secure this check by all means possible. From what I understand, you do makeup and stuff. So like, give us a little something, give us, I don't know, what is the South African? Give us a little eyelash kit. The girls are going into that eyelash thing now, where they're trying to do the little falsies at home with give us one of those. Start us with one of those. The working girls love those. Lipstick, I think you'll have a little bit more competition with that if you get a good glue. And because I think you do makeup, or you mentioned something about Nonko wanting you to do a makeup and how it's not cheap, it's not free. But we need to start merchandising. We need to start making some business stuff happen here. I know you said you wrote the kiddies book, South Africans Aren't Reading, girl. I know you said you did all of that. That's cute. But what I need you to do is, you've certified yourself a girly girl. You like your fashions and you like your beauty and you do whatever. But we gotta start with something that's accessible and affordable. And it's lashes. It's the little falsies, not the strip ones. The little ones where you put like little, and then you start with those, and then maybe you can sell us a little eyeshadow palette moving forward. We don't wear eyeshadow like that anymore, but who knows? It might come back. It might come back into style. I'll buy your lashes, Maria. I'll buy your lashes. I will. Um. They talk about blind loyalty, and I think I've mentioned this, maybe not using these exact words, but that hard line that I belong to this camp, it's making it to be a hard watch and predictable. If the girls can't come over to the side of the aisle and this one can't go over to that side of the aisle, it makes it such a predictable and boring watch. It's like, oh, Nunku's team and Jojo's team, and then Sarisha's team and Slee's team. And I feel like Slee, even Zama to a degree, in parts, they've tried to be impartial in certain situations, and they've paid dearly for it. Zama especially, when she's tried to, she was the person who mentioned here that Slee burning the sage made sense, because when we got up to go and pick our rooms, she was left with the impression that we all got a room. That was her just being honest. Slee as well has said to Angel, I don't think Zama said anything terrible about your family. She just mentioned that the businesses aren't yours. If we can't have more moments like that, it becomes too rigid and it's too predictable, and it's not a comfortable watch. I want Sarisha and Slee to not get along on a certain point and have to, hash that out. I want that moment, but it is what it is. Here we are. Sarisha is on TV on Newsroom Africa saying she might not come back. Who knows? But that's it. Bye, Yala.